In the late 1800s, the Native American Osage tribe, who primarily resided in Midwestern territories such as Oklahoma, struck oil and became one of the wealthiest communities in Oklahoma throughout the early 20th century. The Osage tribe flourished and gained access to innovative automobiles and quality clothing, luxuries typically only afforded to rich white Americans. For example, in 1923, the tribe earned $30 million in oil revenue, a figure that equates to well over $400 million today. After the American Civil War, the United States government took a vested interest in improving the lives of Native Americans through various allotment and reconstruction programs and laws. Under the federal government's Osage Allotment Act of 1906, the Osage tribe reserved the right to any wealth gained through the minerals found on their reservation, including oil. However, the Act's headright system dictated that any relative or heir of an Osage individual could become a recipient of that individual's wealth upon his or her death, regardless of if that recipient was of Osage blood or not. Additionally, the Act required that the Osage were assigned white overseers to manage the administration of the tribe's oil boom wealth. While the government believed that the Osage Allotment Act would protect the Osage tribe's newfound wealth, in actuality, the Act merely encouraged fiscal abuse of the Osage by whites through the overseer and headright inheritance systems. Racism, greed, and tragedy plagued Osage history throughout the early 1920s, as the tribe's new overseers purposefully mismanaged, extorted, and stole money from the tribe in order to enrich themselves. Additionally, several white relatives of tribesmen engaged in questionable behavior in order to secure an oil inheritance. One particularly gruesome circumstance saw William Hale, the uncle of a white man who married an Osage woman, Molly Burkhart, systematically murder his niece-in-law's blood relatives to ensure he and his nephew would receive larger shares of Osage oil money. While the exact number remains unknown, potentially hundreds of Osage people were murdered from 1921 to 1925 in what came to be known as the Reign of Terror. When local and state authorities failed the tribe, the Osage requested the federal government investigate these heinous acts. The murders and disappearances of Osage people drew the attention of the fledgling FBI, whose undercover agents quickly discovered William Hale was behind the murders of Molly Burkhart's relatives. New federal legislation in 1925 prohibited those who were not Osage from inheriting headrights, which resulted in a dramatic decrease in white corruption and interference in Osage economic affairs. It is important to remember that even though the racism and greed of others harmed the Osage tribe during the early 1920s, the Osage were not helpless. While the Osage endured the greed of vindictive white men, they have carefully worked alongside the Bureau of Indian Affairs since the Reign of Terror occurred, ensuring the Osage headrights remain within the tribe, and that events similar to the Reign of Terror never occur again. Through the careful legal breakdown of the Osage Allotment Act, the tribe has regained control over much of their wealth and economic interests. Most recently, in the late 1990s, the Osage tribe successfully sued the United States government for over $300 million for its support of the mismanagement of native wealth through the Osage Allotment Act of 1906. TU student filmmaker Lissandro Bucacci and his talented team of cast and crew members aim to tell the story of the Reign of Terror and depict not only the racism and greed that permeated the Osage Murders, but also demonstrate the strength of the Osage people. You can support this vision by making a financial contribution of whatever amount you can commit to this important video project, as well as share this video on social media and spread the word. Thank you.